So now we're in the platform. I'm just in the preview view right now. As a learner, we would have our logo up here at the top left, of course. But now we're in the platform. And I mentioned before that in our case, for this course, that there is a lot of content. So just to give a little bit of perspective, I wasn't kidding when I said it was a lot of content. But what we try to do in this case is that in each of the pages or activities, we try to make it as snackable as possible. So it's really organized by module, it's organized by step, and then it's organized by topic. So each page is just one topic. When you open it, there's not like too much scrolling you have to do. So that's how we put it together. And I get the question also quite a bit, how long do people have to take this? Because it is quite long. And they do have 9 months to go through this. So it's quite a bit of time. I think it's, I usually say a couple, maybe 3 hours to go through each of the 4 modules. So if you spread that out, it's doable, but we give them 9 months to, take their time, go through, listen, reflect, that sort of thing. So we are going to jump in here. I think I'm going to open up the first page here is welcome to the course. So you can get an idea of the feel and how we've set this up from the get-go. Okay. Now, again, to mention, we were sensing a shift from the face-to-face to more digital, flexible, online, start when you want learning. So we needed to adapt the content and the experience to best fit that approach for the learners. So one of the challenges that I had was, how do I make this experience as human as possible, given that we don't necessarily have the human element for most of the learners anymore. So one way was in the language when we're writing to be kind of holding them by the hand, saying welcome, and also in the videos. So in a few of the videos that you'll see, at least in the beginning, we have one of our key global employer branding advisors, Richard Mosley, who's hosting some of these. He's not in all the videos, but you'll see him in the first ones. But I can play a little bit of this first video so you can hear about how he welcomes the learner to the course, but then also already hear how he's referring to what you can expect when you come in. He refers to the structure, things like that. So let me know, Rebecca, if you can hear this from the beginning, just to be sure it works. Also, I'll pause here for a minute to mention that I quickly discovered the video editing tool in Learnifier. So that was a lot of fun to create a bit of motion and animation, again, to catch the learner's attention, the music, etc. So I played around with that in a few of the videos as well.
So welcome to the Academy. My name is Richard Mosley. I've been involved in employer branding for about 20 years. I've written 3 books.
Okay, so Spencer, I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead so you can hear kind of the main message that he has here at the beginning before they get started with the learning, essentially.
That as much as possible into the course to keep it really fresh. As I say, the important thing throughout here is that it's a 9-step journey. It's broken into 4 modules. You're going to be seeing a fair bit of me because I'm going to be introducing each module as we go and giving you a bit of an outro. Important to pace yourself, take your time. This is not the kind of course you necessarily want to, rush through in a couple of weeks. The great thing about an online course and the materials as we set them out is that you can really pace yourself, do a few steps, go through a few of the individual parts, do a bit of deep diving, stop and then reflect for a while. Even think about how you can put it into practice,
Yeah, so I'll just stop there, but you can see he's referring, this is broken into 4 modules. It's step by step. Take your time as you go through. So every time I was recording anyone doing a video, I said, make sure you're talking to the learner, you're being pedagogical, is one of my favorite words, and really guiding them through the process.
And for each module, you have this video, right, Eva?
Yes.
As an introduction to the module.
Exactly. So I'll show a couple examples here. So for instance, module 1, so we indicate, that they're starting a module and where they're ending a module. Because if you look at the outline, we don't necessarily have the entire of module 1 in just one of these sections, because that would be a very long drop down. So it's a bit more encouraging if we can group it down into smaller bits. But let's go into here to module 3 as one example. So all of the modules start this way. There's a video of Richard welcoming them to the course. I can play a few seconds of this as well. And it's saying, okay, this is what the module's about. This is about planning your story. This is what you're going to learn throughout this module. And again, referencing the 9-step model, these are the steps now that we are going to be talking about. So we're being very clear and packaging it as best possible. So yeah, a few seconds from here, and then I can play a few seconds of the outro as well.
Welcome to module 3. This is all about the communication side of the journey. So having got your foundation right, objectives right, value proposition, got all of those nailed. It's really about how you bring it to life in a number of different respects. First one is visualization.
Again, just skipping ahead. So you kind of get an idea for the language, welcome to module 3. By now you've learned this. This module is all about the communication side. And then just to mark clearly here, okay, you're at the end, we have a similar kind of video.
So good job. 3/4 of the way through now, one module to go. Hopefully you really enjoyed that last module when it comes to thinking a little bit about the creative expression, bringing things to life.
Exactly. And then we'll have quizzes throughout as well. We actually added more quizzes, so not just at the end of each module, but at the end of each step, because we got feedback from the participants that they liked to have this. It was a way to kind of actively sit, do an activity, and think about what they learned. So
Eva, excuse me, we have a few questions in the chat. Is it okay to actually ask a few questions?
Yeah, please.
One question is, do the participants get to have slides afterwards? Will you be able to share some content afterwards?
So we don't, well, for the webinars that we do, when we do a kickoff webinar and the halfway webinar, I mean, we have a deck from that presentation that we do upload to the platform then, so they can download that one. But the content that we have in the platform on here, that's just,
yes, of course.
I know some people take screenshots, for example.
But then you will, all participants will receive a recording of the webinar afterwards, and then they can have a short text slide with some pages from you, Eva.
Exactly.
Great. And also we had a question about the completion rate in this project from Linnea. Could you please help us out there?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's been a little while since I did the last analysis, but over half, because I know we have some clients as well at Universum that get a free seat. So sometimes they may get it and they don't really go as proactively through it. But those who register or pay for it, those almost 100% of them will complete it. They will get certified. And we do our best to make sure that they get through the finish line. So if they ever get stuck or they say they're a little bit delayed or need support, then they reach out to us and we help them out. We'll say, not to worry, we'll help you if you're stuck, if you need a little bit more time. So those who will proactively register for the course, the completion rate is very high. I don't have an exact number, so I don't want to make one up, but it's high.
I think that's a great answer. Thank you.
Yes.
And we also got some interest in the video editor tool. And the question if have you added the subtitles in the video editor?
That is a good question. I did not do it in the editing tool. I think it would be possible. It might be a bit manual, but we do have, I think there's some tools online that can automatically generate them. We just happen to have an agency that does it for some other videos that we have. So I just kind of piggyback and I sent them in these videos and they added the subtitles on for me. So I did do that with an agency, but everything else and the text at the beginning and the music, I would do in here.
Okay, great. So I think we'll stop with the questions for a while. Please still ask the questions in the chat, and we'll see if we break through another time or if we take it at the end. Okay.
Sure, sounds good. Yeah, feel free to stop me anytime. All right. Good. Another aspect or another challenge that I thought was interesting to bring up here when it came to when I started building the course in Learnifier was, of course, I was going from this landing page where the agency had built the whole thing. So of course it looked visually really good. It looked very good. The most important thing though is the experience. So that's why Learnifier was perfect for us. But I was still thinking, how do I make Learnifier, visually stimulating if I don't have an agency doing the front end? What can I do on my own to make it pop a little bit more? Just, so it's not just text, for instance, or screenshots of different things. Now, the first idea that I came up with that really gave the course a facelift right away, I would say, was having a banner at the top of each page. So this is one example. One of the pages, I'll click through a few of them, but this is what I mean by a banner. It's just an image at the top with a little bit of a tagline, a little bit of text, just to make it pop a little bit. So I have this, and again, it's color coded. So we're in module 2, it's the orange. And we do have branding, Employer Branding Academy. We have our own branding guidelines. So we just applied that to this as well. So that's one of the elements that we had. That was one way to make it really pop. Also, then I thought, okay, I mean, this is great. I have an image at the top and then text, but how can I try to break up the text a little bit more as well, also in the bulk of the contents, right? So then I also looked into, images and illustrations. Let's take this one, for example. So here we have a chart. So instead of taking a screenshot from a report, this is from an external reports that we have the source here, then we would just create a visual image of it that sort of reflected the branding guidelines that we have here as well. So instead of just writing the stats and having bullet points, in some places I would say, well, here we can create kind of like a big number and a statistic or a chart, things like that. Now, how I did this, it didn't look this good from the beginning, I have to admit. When I was first experimenting and doing this by myself, I was creating images in PowerPoint, and then I would take screenshots from PowerPoint. So I tried to use a little bit of the creativity that I had and put together images, just took screenshots and put them up, and that was fine. But then we had an idea. I thought, well, if we use an agency to kind of recreate or polish up the videos, if we get those in Adobe Illustrator, then I have colleagues, I have team that know how to use Adobe Illustrator, then we can just update these images ourselves in the future. So for instance, this image has 86%. Maybe next year that number will be different. Well, now we don't need to go to the agency every time to update it. I just tell my colleague, hey, can you just update this image and change the number to this, and then send me the image, and then I'll just replace it. So yeah, that's one way I've been playing around with the visual part and the imagery, and really try to make it pop, essentially. If we come here, I think I have another one just to show what the colors once again. So in module 3, it's the yellow here. Exactly. So this is another example of some statistics that we'll pull in. Again, statistics are a good sort of excuse, I think, to create an image around it, to just break up the text a little bit. Next year, when we need to update this, same thing. I'll ask my colleague. I've even started learning myself how to do Illustrator as well. So I might myself just update the numbers, and replace the image. So this really, really helps, I would say.
So doing these courses have made you quite an expert, both in creating videos and Illustrator and the graphics and so on then.
Yeah, I've learned a lot. learn by doing. I mean, it's really been learn by doing, but it's been super rewarding as well, because the feedback that I get from participants and also colleagues when they go in is really good. So I know that, you know, a lot of people are seeing what I'm doing, and it's having a positive impact on the learning experience, which is the objective. So it's really nice.
And this is a good way to think about it. You can create images outside, whether that's PowerPoint or InDesign or anything like that, and just inserting those images into the layout, so you can get more flexibility and more brand alignment, if you will. So I think you've done a really good job here, getting this feeling. I have one question in the chat that I would like to ask. It's from Linnea here. I see a lot of images with text. How do you make sure it's accessible for visually impaired learners? Do you have any thoughts on that?
That is a very good question. I would be very frank and honest and say we haven't gotten that far. I think that's a very good point. We haven't had that question or any comments yet. So yeah, I would say it's a good question and something that we can definitely look into, of course. I mean, we might have some limitations and whatnot, or maybe one option, again, thinking out loud, we create a copy of this course and just remove the color elements. So it would be a copy, but a different version of the course. I mean, that is something that we could do when the case comes up. Yeah, thank you for asking that, actually.
I have another question here from Don as well. Let's see if we can answer it. But he asked, would it be possible to have the value linked from a spreadsheet online, so you could change the number, for example, in Excel, and it will be changed in the course? I don't know the answer to that. Maybe you know, Eva.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. If that's possible, then we should definitely do that. But I mean, now, no, we don't. But it's pretty quick to go in and change it manually. So I don't know if that exists, that function from Excel to Illustrator. But that would be very, very good.
We have some learnifiers in the chat here, so maybe one of our tech-savvy learnifiers will be able to answer the question. Let's have a look. Otherwise, we'll get back to you, Dan, later. All right. What else would you like to show us?
Yeah, I was just going to comment on this one, I thought, real quick as well, because we tried to have varied content in here. So 3 things. We have these icons to mark points of reflection, or if there's an exercise or there's extra material. So I do think it's important, if you have a relatively long course, really, even if you have a short course, I would say it's good to have reflection points. So you're kind of forcing the learner while they're reading, and then to kind of stop. And when you phrase questions this way, it makes them stop and think. I think that's really important, and it helps them to retain the information that they learned, because now they have to think about it, right? So having points of reflection from time to time. Exercises we provide in a few places, if it's a template that they can download, for instance. So we do have a lot of downloadable material, including dig deepers. So there's a lot of information out there, and we always say to the learners that the dig deeper material is optional, because we have a lot, but it's there if they're interested in a certain topic. We have them as references. So we also attach a lot of external reports, documents that they can download as well.
Great. So you're just linking to external PDFs and you're inserting them in the content. Yeah,
exactly. Because it might be that we mentioned something, or one of the stats that we have in the course, then we have something as a reference, or we've just, come across this report externally, and we thought this would be really interesting for those who are really into this topic in the course. So let's just attach it as an extra in case somebody's interested.
That is actually a really good point. Sometimes as a creator of courses, you feel like you have to create all the content yourself and have it be from your organization, but you can also link to external reports and sites and things like that as well in your content journey.
Exactly. Yes. There is one more element, maybe a couple more, but at least one more that I think has been really valuable to Employer Branding Academy, and that's our videos. Because, of course, everybody who's learning online, video is good. We know that feedback, people like to listen to videos, and when we first put together Learnifier, we did create videos, and at the time we had an agency come in. We had asked a few colleagues, they were a little bit nervous, you know, camera shy, perhaps. We said, we have an agency coming in to film. Can you just talk about a minute or two about a topic? You can plan out the script, maybe they'll come in, they'll set up the lights, and then we'll record these videos. So it was kind of a big production, right? I mean, of course it looked good. The videos looked good. Maybe, you know, those we were filming felt a little bit uncomfortable, but, you know, they still did it. But it wasn't very sustainable. And of course it's costly. It's costly to get a film crew to come in and video record. And naturally, as with any organization, there's going to be employees that leave. So then, you know, you don't really want to keep those videos, and you want to replace them and always have current employees represented. So I decided a few years ago, actually, or a couple of years ago, I said, okay, I want to make a bunch of new videos with our current colleagues, and I want to do it myself so we can do it on our own. Then COVID happened. That idea got put on pause for a little while. But then after COVID, when we started coming back to the office, we fortunately had just before set up a studio. We transformed one of our offices into a studio. So that's why I thought I can do it myself now. I can just use the studio. We have the camera, we have some lights. And yeah, so I reached out to my colleagues and I asked a few. I said it would just be me and them. It'll be friendly, it'll be relaxed. They can just come into the studio. So I would reach out to, for instance, this colleague here, Larissa. I'd say, hey, would you like to talk about the core talent profile for a few minutes? I'll ask you these questions. So instead of scripting, that was the important thing about these videos. I wanted them to feel natural. I wanted them to speak from the heart. I said, you know, talk to the camera like it's the participant and imagine, you know, they're asking this question and they're asking this one, and just answer it in your own words, right? Because I really, again, wanted to humanize the experience and bring our people in here. So that's what I did, and it turned out really well. We also had a conference and all our international colleagues, you know, flew in. So I took advantage of that and recorded them while they were here. So again, I'm conscious of time. I'll just play a few seconds of one of these as well, just so you can see how I did it. I put the question in the video. I think that's a good way of doing it. Putting the question, instead of hearing the question, write the question on the video, and then you would hear the person's reply to that.
I think when it comes to different challenges that organizations can potentially have is when you're looking into the current status of your employer brand, it is going to be key to really get to grips with.
Yeah, so I'll just pause there, but you get the idea that, you know, we're asking the question and then you listen to the person when they're answering it. And the videos, you know, they're not like perfect agency quality, but that wasn't the important thing for me, and it's not the most important thing for the learner. The most important thing is that they get insight, they learn, and they're kind of getting to know us a little bit as well. So yeah, so if the backdrop and stuff isn't perfect, I said, you know what, that's okay. These videos are brilliant because we're hearing from our colleagues and the learners are learning from them. That's the main idea.
I think this is great because it really shows that you can do things in-house without having a major like background in film or anything like that. You can actually use the tool to do this. You can set up a little background, just have a good light, make sure the audio is good, and then you can film and then edit it right in the tool like you have done. I think it's really, really great. And also that you're saying that not too scripted, it has that genuine feeling and everything. So I think
exactly,
it's a really big strength of your academy, because there's no better medium than video to get that personal feeling as well.
Yeah, no, it really helped the experience.
Definitely. Is there anything else you want to show us in the platform, or should we just sum up a little bit now, like your best tips and insights for us others?
Yeah, we can go ahead. I mean, I can probably talk for another 45 minutes about what we have in here, but I know we're coming towards the end of it. So I'll switch over and I can share some of my tips, I think, yeah.
Sounds good, because we've learned a lot now. So let's see what we should pick as the
What are
main
the takeaways? Yeah, so I did actually put together a few tips. These are my personal master tips for those who are doing an online course. And I have sort of 3 themes, I would say, from my end and from my experience working with this for a few years now, and also based on feedback from participants. One thing is clarity. So when it comes to the structure, what does the learning journey look like? Or what are the touch points if you have certain interactive touch points? Or what is the structure? So be very clear about that, and also be very clear about the objectives from the beginning. So me as a learner, what can I expect to learn? What is your objective for me? So that's the question that you want to answer from the very beginning. Second thing is the tonality. So in the videos and in the copy and the text, hold the learner by the hand, in essence, say, like we had, welcome to module 3. This is what you can expect to learn here. Great progress so far. Now we've just talked about this. On the next page, we'll dig a bit deeper into this topic, right? So holding them by the hand, and also trying to have a personal human touch to the digital learning, because it's already digital, right? So adding a bit of that humanizing and a bit of personality where you can helps to bring the experience to life a little bit more. And the third thing is contents. So have a variety of contents, break it up. It was more, when I first put Learnifier together, it was actually more text-based, and I got the feedback actually that there was quite a bit of text. So for that reason, I've really made a lot of progress in the past few years of breaking up the text and adding more images, having more videos and more quizzes. And I would say, explore opportunities to create the content in-house, because you can do a lot of things in-house. I did all of it from the beginning myself, creating images in PowerPoint, doing screenshots, and you can use your own camera as well. I would say the video production doesn't have to be like a commercial. So use your own camera, and yeah, just dare to do your own videos. And for instance, if you're in Learnifier, just use the editing tool to add a bit of pizzazz and music, things like that. It's pretty intuitive, I would say, to use. So those are my tips.
Sounds great. And what's next for you now? Is it to tweak the content of the academy, or what is on your agenda now with your Employer Branding Academy?
Yes, so now I'd say, based on the feedback that I've gotten over the years, I'm at a good place where the content and the setup and the images is good. So one thing is just to keep updating with statistics and making sure things are up to date, and seeing that I have the latest reports and things like that. But also, again, because this is a long course, there's a lot of people who are interested in learning, but maybe don't have the time to take this full training, or at least not yet. And we still want to give them insights and give them chances to learn. So we're actually going to be putting together free courses. So they're going to be very short and sweet, also in Learnifier. And we're going to have that self-registration link on. So we don't really have to do anything, so to speak. But on our website, we'll have registration link, and then they'll be able to take a free course, quite short, snackable, about a certain topic. And at the end, I'll go ahead and skip here to show this image. They will get a certificate of completion. And for these short courses, we are using Learnifier's certificate tool. So that gets generated automatically. And that will be coming quite soon. We're still working on it. So that's really a sneak peek. Nobody really knows yet, but that's what we're working on now.
So these are free courses that we can, anyone can take them. Yeah.
Coming soon.
To theaters near you.
Exactly.
Okay, well, thank you.